Hello and welcome to the fifth session of our teacher training for Zoom hosting for Congregation Colony Religious School teachers. This particular session is going to be much more specific for Congregation Colony than many of our other sessions. You're again welcome to sit in and listen and hopefully pick up a few pointers, but I'm covering things that are very specific to how we've configured it at Congregation Colony. And some things that the teachers need to be aware of that might affect them. There are a couple of general pointers, but for the most part, they're going to be pretty specific. The first thing that I wanted to start with, and I guess this one really does apply to most organizations, is when you're using the share screen functionality, I would suggest that you don't share your desktop, that instead you share each window specifically. And what I mean by that is, for instance, if you want to share a web browser because you want to show a YouTube video, share that web browser. If you want to show a game or an application you have running on your machine, show that window. If you choose show desktop, it's great because it makes it easy. You don't have to go back to the share screen and pick a new screen every time you share a different application. However, it also means that everything is seen. Your notifications, if you have notifications, are going to pop up. If you're switching over and you accidentally go to your mail and you have an email open, that's going to show up. If, like on my Mac, you can have iMessages directly and a text message comes across and you accidentally click on that screen, that's going to show up. And so you potentially are going to give visibility to things that you may or may not want seen. And so that's why I would always suggest against sharing the desktop, and whenever possible, just share an individual window. Speaking of sharing, another thing that I thought about after I did the initial videos is in regard to sharing streaming video. So for instance, if you want to share a YouTube video, depending on your bandwidth at your home, it may or may not work very well. And so there are a few tips you can do, particularly if you have limited bandwidth, that'll help. The first one being is if you have the ability to plug an Ethernet cable into your desktop or laptop computer, whether that be via an adapter or a direct connection on that machine, I would suggest doing so. If you can plug directly into your router, you're going to do much better than if you use a Wi-Fi connection to transmit that video. A second pointer would be during the time that you're using the video so for instance, let's say I'm sharing a screen with a YouTube video. While I'm doing that, you want to ask all of your users or participants to go ahead and stop their video. That way, both their local machine and your machine are not having to deal with processing each of those individual videos as well. That's going to free up not only bandwidth, but it's going to free up your computer's brain, its CPU, from having to process those things. So it will help with lag in most cases. Wanted to also talk a little bit about our structure of the classes on Sundays. Each teacher will have their own Zoom account. We should be getting it out to you pretty quickly. You'll use that same Zoom account all year. The meeting, the class time will be set up for you ahead of time, and you'll be able to use that same link throughout the year. I'll take care of setting all of that up for you, and that's so that I can continue to maintain the master calendar, and let's not have any conflicts. And it's that whole one point of entry so that we keep things really clear. For the Hebrew school and the services portion, we're going to use a single link. Again, that will be the same all year. And then for the individual Hebrew classes, we're actually going to use breakout rooms to break out the kids into different classes with the Hebrew teachers so that they can work on that specifically. And then once Hebrew class is done, 8th grade will join, and we will put all of the kids together for the services portion before the conclusion of religious school each Sunday. One of the other things that's really important to point out for us is some of these Zoom accounts will be shared for multiple functions. So for instance, we may use the first grade class on Sundays, one account for the first grade class on Sundays, and then on Tuesday, that same account may be used at Tuesday night for the another activity that's going on for CKA Book Club or something else. We are maintaining a calendar to make sure that those shared accounts don't ever conflict or aren't ever trying to be used at the same time. However, it's also important to note that you should not change the password on the account because it is a shared account. If for some reason you have a concern, you think that it's been hacked, you think your password has gotten out, then let me know. I will change the password on the account and then inform everyone who is sharing that account what's going on. If you have a shared account, I'm going to let you know, and I'll let you know who you're sharing it with, just so that you know if for some reason there's an ad hoc activity that you want to set up, you'll know who to check with to make sure that you don't have any conflicts. So I think I now have actually covered everything that I wanted to. However, if there's a topic that I haven't covered, or there's a subject matter, whether that be Zoom or something else technology related to religious school, please let me know in the comments section below. And for at least the upcoming Sunday, bring those questions to our Q&A, and I will try to cover as much as I possibly can. As always, thanks for joining me. Hope you got something out of this, and we'll talk to you soon.